everybody. Thank you for joining AMP's online masterclass. This class is part of our AMP online masterclass series sponsored by the Chestnut Family Foundation. This class is How to Read Music for Beginners, part 7 of 7, taught by Logan Souther. So this is our last class in the series. We will announce our future classes on our Facebook and through our email blast, but this is a last music theory class. Thank you to everyone watching who's been to all of our previous classes. It's been awesome to learn with you guys, and this class will also be available on YouTube, as will part 1 through 6 after today's class. It helps to have a notepad, pencil, paper to take notes. Also, feel free to use the chat function to ask us any questions, or if you want to answer a question that Mr. Logan has asked. If you do answer one of our questions in real time, please only send it to panelists instead of to everyone, so you don't give away your answer to everyone else. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the class.
All right, good afternoon, everybody that's here today and who will watch this online later. We're going to finish up this series talking mostly about harmony today. So that, I believe, over the last other 6 classes, that's something that keeps coming up that people are always really interested to learn about. When we first start learning music theory and how to read music, we're really concerned with how to read the actual notes on the page, and we've spent a lot of time doing that now. But music theory really starts to get fun and interesting when we're working with harmony. So what we're going to do today is we're going to finish up talking about key signatures, kind of review major scales just a bit, and then the rest of the time we're going to cover as much harmony as we possibly can. So this is kind of going to be a crash course in harmony. So we'll do a little bit of review, then after that we'll go full speed ahead. All right, so we talked about flat key signatures last time. How to read a flat key signature. If you see this and we're in treble clef, we read a flat key signature, we look to the second from the last, not the last one, but the one right before that, and that tells us the name of the key. So if you see 3 flats, then that gives you E flat. So we're going to work backwards now. You should all remember this from last week. What I want you to do is write the key signature, the correct key signature for this key, E flat, and draw a major scale. Write a major scale with the right key signature, E flat, key signature here, scale on the staff if you could, then we'll go over that. And do that for E flat, A flat, and F major. So we'll do 3 major scales. So E flat, A flat, and F major. Take a few moments and work on that. So we need the key signatures for all 3 of these keys, flat keys, and the major scale. So remember, with flat keys, we read the second from the end. So if we've got a B flat and an E flat's the last flat in the key signature. One right before that is what we need right here. So that tells us this B flat. And the same thing is true for all flat key signatures. All right, so 3 scales, please. E flat, A flat, and B flat. We'll go over that in just a moment. We'll go ahead and start working on this slowly. Let's start with E flat. So that'd be number 1. Let's put our treble clef up there. E flat. So we need a certain amount of flat signs that we know that E is going to be the last of these. or sorry, another way we can do this, we'll start with E flat. We'll put E flat up there as our first note. So when we're doing the flats, you guys, we've talked about this a couple weeks now. The first thing that we need is a whole step. So we'll go E flat up to F as a whole step, F to G, to another whole step, G to A flat, gives us that half step that we need, A flat to B flat, it's a whole step, B flat to C, another whole step, C to D, whole step, and D to E flat, it's that last half step, so that gives us whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. So that's the formula that we use. That's the formula that we use when we're talking about key signatures. So let's see if it works out. We've got B flat, E flat, and A flat. So let's go ahead and put those up. B flat, it's in the key signature, E flat, and A flat. So 3 flats, and that gives us E flat major, whoops, and the correct major scale. So there's a certain order that we have when we're writing flats, and you might have heard this before. It's B, E, A, D, bead, like a bead in a necklace, and then G, C, F, like in math, the greatest common factor, G, C, F. That's the order of flats. And that might help you for these last two, for the next 2 scales. So we've got 3 flats in E flat major. If you guys have any questions at all about this, please let me know. I'll leave the key signatures up when we're done with the scale. So there's B flat, E flat.
I put the order of flats in the chat also. Yeah, I'll be periodically putting things in the chat.
All right, let's go over A flat. So let's use this key right here. This will help us. So I don't think we got to this last time. So that's why we've got a little bit of a hiccup getting into this now. So let's start with the order of flats. Let's see what will give us A flat. So here's A, if that's in the order of flats, then we need one more right after that. So if the last flat will be D flat, one right before it is A flat, and that's what we want. So we need 1, 2, 3, 4 flats. So we'll do B flat, E flat, A flat, and D flat. That we're looking here at the A flat major scale. So that scale will start, if we use our legend lines, on A flat and cover the notes through the next octave. So that's the key signature we're looking for. Now the only one that doesn't add up, that doesn't use this order of flats, and the trick will be F major. F major, we just have to know that there's only one flat. F major is only one flat. So looking at the flat one before the end doesn't really work here. We just have to know F major has one flat. Start on F and go up to the top. All right, good. So this is, like I said, is going to be a crash course day. So we're going to be moving through things pretty quickly. Order of flats, B, E, A, D, G, C, F. Order of sharps. Order of sharps is the same thing in reverse. So F, C, G, D, A, E, and B. So here's the order of flats and the order of sharps. F, C, G, B, F, C, G, D, A, E, B. And what that looks like, I believe Miss Lolly will have this in the chat for you guys, is that when we've got a sharp key signature, there's F, C, G, D. With sharps, the note one step above the last sharp. So here's the last sharp, D sharp. Right there, one step above is E. That gives us the key of E major in 4 sharps. D sharp is the last sharp. One step above D sharp is E. E major is 4 sharps. Same thing's true if we get rid of that last one. This top sharp is G sharp. Right above G sharp, here's G. One step above G sharp is A. That gives us A, the key of A major. All right, and the same thing's true for all sharp signs. So if we let's put more sharps instead of taking them off. So we've got F, C, G, D. We'll put an A sharp up there. For here, we'll go down, so we're not using a legend line. F, C, G, D, A. Down once again. To E sharp, we've got the key of F sharp major, 5 sharps, which is probably one of the largest sharp key signatures that you'll see commonly, gives us the key. Here's A sharp, up one step of B major. So with sharps, we find the last one, then go up one step to know the name of the key. So up one step. All right, so this is all just to finish what we didn't cover last time, and now the remainder of our time today, as much as we can, is going to be a crash course in harmony. If you guys have any questions about this, about sharps and flats, or the order of sharps and flats, let me know. But if not, we're going to start our crash course today. All right, so the major scale is very important. Let's go ahead, just to keep it nice and simple when we start off, we're just going to use good old C major. As you remember, C major doesn't have any sharps or flats in the key signature. So we've got C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and C. All right, C, D, E, F, G, it sounds like this. Here's the C major scale. Whoops. Here's C major scale. Starting at C, up to C. Once again, here's the major scale. There's our C major scale. One way that we can keep track or organize these scales, these notes, one way we can dissect it is by giving each of these notes a label. So if we want to label which note is what here, say for instance, if we're in a C major scale and we want to talk about the note G, one way that we can label that is we can say that that is the 5th scale degree. So scale degree tells you where, if we're calling it a scale degree, what note is the 5th scale degree, G. Then it tells us what order it falls in the scale, what number it falls in the scale. And we recognize that by this little triangle on top. So if we're writing about music or studying music theory and we're talking about scale degrees, then we call that'll be the 5th scale degree. G will be the 5th scale degree, and you'll see that because it'll have this little caret on top, this little point on top. All right, so we'll go in order. C in the C major scale will be what we call the 1st scale degree. D will be what we call the 2nd scale degree. There's D. E will be what we call the 3rd scale degree. The 4th will be F. Anybody guess what the last 3 would be?
Anybody listening? give it a shot.
So after 5, what would A be? Be the 6th scale degree. 7. B would be the 7th scale degree. Now what happens here when we get to C again? Do we need an 8? We actually don't. We don't need the 8 there, because what happens is that C is just a repeat of this one. So we've got, again, the 1st scale degree when we get to 8. So this is how we can help keep up. So you'll see the application in just a moment. All right, do we have any questions so far about what these scale degrees are?
Anybody? I don't see any yet.
So this is just a fancy way of saying something that's pretty self-apparent. I think it's kind of obvious. It just gives a number to each of these. All right, so we haven't quite got to harmony yet, but we are about to be there right now. So we're going to talk about triads. Now remember, we said before that harmony is 2 or more notes playing at the same time. The most common, the most elemental basic unit of harmony that we use is called a triad. And that's 3 notes together. And it looks something like this. If we're in C major, this is what we would call a C major triad. It's made of the notes C, E, G. It's those 3 notes together. Now, on your own paper, so here's a triad you can see with the notes C, E, and G. Can you draw for me on your manuscript paper this triad and label each of these 3 notes with their scale degree? So I'll give you the first one. I'll put it right here. Just like that, I'll use a green marker so you can see the distinction of it. So we want to label these other 2 notes. So C gives us 1. What would be those other 2? What scale degrees would those be? C, E, and G. So use this as your guide there.
Mm-hmm. If anybody wants to give it a shot, you can put it in the chat and just send me the 3 numbers.
All right, so we've got C, that's the 1st scale degree in our triad, in our C major triad. E would be the next note in our C major triad. And G will be our 3rd note, our last note in a C major triad. So this triad here is made up of the notes of the 1st scale degree, the 3rd scale degree, and the 5th. So 1, 3, 5. 1, 3, and 5 gives us the C major triad. Any questions so far? Doing good?
I don't see any yet. One person guessed the scale degrees right, which is great.
Excellent. So just to recap, a triad is when we have 3 or more notes. Now you might have noticed this, the way that we've written it, and the way that you see these notes here separated. A triad will be separated in thirds. The notes will come in thirds. So it's not necessarily just 3 notes. It's not 3 notes. It's not C, D, and E. But if we separate these notes by thirds, then that will give us the C major triad. That will give us a triad. So triads will be separated by thirds. So for practice, before we go on, so with triads, think thirds, separated by thirds. So here's our C major triad. This bottom note that we have, I'll just move it up an octave so it's closer that we can see. So C, whoops, E, and G. The first note is called the root. We call that the root. C, E, and G. And then the triad is built off of the notes that are a third above that. So we'll skip a line. If we begin on a space, skip the line, go to another space. Skip a line, go to the next space. So if we're going to do another chord, say, just for instance, if we're going to do another chord that starts on G, the root is G, what two notes would be above G? Can someone put that in the chat? If we're going to make a G, a triad with root G, what two notes would go above there? So if it's a line, we'll skip a space, go to the next line, skip a space, and go to the next line.
Nobody's chiming in yet, but I'm sure you guys are thinking about it at home. You make sure you think about what's in the key signature of the G major scale. Good? Yeah, we got one person that got it right.
Good, so B and D. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So that gives us G, B, and D to make a triad with the root being G. All right, so let's incorporate our scale degrees in here now. So if the C major is built on root 1, and we know the other two scale degrees there being 3 and 5, we can say that this G major chord is built on scale degree 5. Everybody see that? So we're starting with 5. We've just got a different root now. So how would we label these top two notes? How would we label notes B and D if we're talking about scale degrees? So B and D, we need to find the number that fits for these two notes right here.
Anybody? Oh, got one answer.
Five, 7, and 9. We'll definitely use 7 with the scale degrees, but since we're limiting it to what is within the scale and not to intervals, we're just talking about scale degrees and not intervals above the root, this will still be scale degree 2. So D will always be the second scale degree. So 5, 7, and 2. 5, 7, 2 gives us the G major scale. All right. Let's see what all we want to get into. So these are scale degrees. This is how we can use them. We can spend more time practicing different ways of finding it in different chords. Let's do that just in crash course. So what notes would we have to build a triad that begins on scale degree 2? So we're on 2. What notes will we have above that? So we want it starts on 2, 4, and 5. Take a second to look at that on your paper if you could. try and build triads that start on these numbers. So remember, this is just the numbers of the scale. So triads going up in thirds on each of these. And we'll go through that in just a second, but I want you guys to give it a shot on your own before we do.
Yeah, let me know if anyone has any questions. Also, if you can't see the board or if you have a question about what's on the board, please throw it in the chat. See the first one, we've got a D at the bottom of the staff, and then an F at the bottom of the staff, then a G, and then a C. So we're just building triads off of those 4 notes.
So if we've got D, remember we're going up in thirds, which means we'll skip one. So we'll have F here. So D, F, and what will be next if we're going in thirds? Follow the pattern. Let's see, we'll skip that. We'll have A. So that'll give us a triad. This is a D minor triad. Let's do the same thing now with the one that begins on 4, our next triad, an F major. So we've got F, starts on scale degree 4, A, 6, and 1. So we've got F, A, and C. We just did 5 in our last exercise, but let's review that. Starts on G, scale degree 5, B, and then if we're going to go up the octave, D, G, B, and D. The first one that we learned was the C major chord, and that's what we finish off, which begins on the first note of the scale, goes 1, 3, and 5. So if we're going to play these notes just the way that they're written, it'll sound something like this. We can also rearrange those just a little bit. Now we're starting to have a progression that makes a little bit of sense. All right, any questions about building these triads on different notes? So remember, when we're starting with the triad, the bottom note is what we call the root. And then from there, we go up in thirds along the scale. So that means we skip it one note at a time. So C goes to E and G. D goes to F and A. F goes to A and C. If we start on G, B and D will be played above that. Then C, E, and G. All right, and like I told you guys, this is crash course, so it's okay if we're going a little fast, but do let me know if you have questions. So that I'm sure you guys do have questions, but please let us know. Please let us know. All right, so this is all going. A lot of the important stuff I know Miss Lolly has put in the chat, so always be checking in there. That might help you if you have any questions. Let's put our C major scale up one more time. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. So if we have a triad built on these notes, C, E, and G, and we have a triad built on these notes here, build it starting on G, G, B, and D.
Good. Mr. Logan, can you turn on, is your original sound turned on? It might be.
Do we need it louder or softer?
A little louder. It's like a little bit soft. Perfect. Good. That's it.
All right. So we've got C and G. So if you guys remember from our very first day, so if we don't finish that out, it doesn't make a lot of sense. And those are the exact chords that we're using. So here's the C chord. There's the G chord. So you want it to move back to C. And that's the number one first rule about harmony. So we have here, that C major chord, that's the first scale degree, remember? So when we're talking about chords, we're going to use this Roman numeral I for 1. That means that is the first chord in the scale degree. That is the chord built off of that first scale degree. We're going to call that the tonic. And that tonic is also going to be the name of the key signature. So that's C. This is C major. C major is the name of that key, and the name of that key is what tells you who the tonic is. So C is our tonic in C major. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we go up to the 5th scale degree, and using our Roman numerals for 5, which is the V, we have what's called the dominant, the dominant chord, or the 5 chord. So using that Mary Had a Little Lamb once again, we'll use different words. So this is our tonic. Dominant chord, back to tonic. So the first rule is that you have that 5 chord, it wants to go back to a 1 chord. Is that clear so far? Clear as mud, as they say? So here's 1, 5, back to 1. 1, 5, 1. Tonic, dominant, and the dominant, after you play that, it always wants to go back to the tonic. All right, let me know if we have any questions, please. All right, so here's tonic, dominant, tonic. So what I want you guys to do next for the next exercise, I'm going to put a couple of other scales on the board, and I want you all to write and draw and label, just like what we just did, the tonic chord and the dominant chord. So the first one, we'll do F major. So on your paper, find which chord will be tonic and which one is dominant. Write the triad and label it with an I or a V. All right, so we'll do that for F major and also for B flat major. So labeling tonic and dominant chord.
Yeah, so just to review, the tonic chord is a scale, a triad built off the first note of the scale, and the dominant chord is a triad built off of the 5th note of the scale.
So we have here F major. F major. So we know that first note is going to be our tonic, because it begins on F. And the tonic is the name of the key. So there's our tonic. We need to build a triad off of that, and we go in thirds. So this is a space. We're going to skip that line. Let's go up to A. Skip the line for B. Let's go up to C. So there, for the key of F major, that's going to be our tonic. First scale degree. First note, the tonic. Tonic gets that big I. So we know that that's home. That tonic, the big I, that means that is home. All right? That's our home note. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks like C is going to be our fifth scale degree. That's going to be our big Roman numeral V. It's going to be our dominant chord. Let's build a triad for that. C, the space, so we'll skip that line, go up to E. Skip that line, go up to G. That gives us C, E, G. That's a C major chord. So if we're in F major, here's the scale. So here's 1. So let's do Mary Had a Little Lamb again. All right. So here's 1. So 1, 5, 1, 5, 1. Tonic, dominant. And where does it always want to go? Always wants to go back to the tonic. So it's tension and resolve. That 5 resolves to the tonic. All right, so let's do the same thing in B flat major. So we've got B flat. That's going to be the name of the key. There's our tonic. So we know there, B flat, we're going to have a big 1. So let's build the chord for it. B flat, D, and F will give us the tonic for B flat major. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. F, A, and C. F major will give us the triad for the dominant chord, the big V, the Roman numeral V for 5. 1, 5. So here is B flat major. All right. We're in a different key now. We're still going to hear the 1 and 5. Here's 1. 5. Back to 1. 1, 5, 1. So there's tonic and dominant. So when you put 1, 5, 1 together, that makes what we call a progression. It's like a sentence. It's like a little sentence for music. It's a musical sentence. All right. So that's really our first crash course in music theory, which I'm sure that, in harmony, and I'm sure that there'll be more to come. But that just helped us understand some of the most important basics in harmony. Is 1, what do we call a triad? Triad is a chord made of 3 notes. Scale degrees tell us what number of the scale a note is. The tonic chord is the 1, it's the Roman numeral 1. And that's the first, is a chord built off the first note. Or to use our vocabulary from above, it's the chord built on scale degree 1 and the root. And the dominant the Roman numeral V, and that's built off of scale degree 5 in the root. Scale degree 5 is in the root for the dominant. So it makes sense to have chord, the tonic be scale degree 1, call that 1. Dominant, we call it, it's on built off of scale degree 5. We call that 5. So this can be used in any key. It doesn't have to just be in C major. Any key will work. All right, and that 1 to 5, which you can hear it, you can feel it. You know that it just wants to go back to the tonic. So tonic leads to the dominant, always goes back to the tonic. All right, I know that's a lot to give you guys for one class, and there's plenty more to come, but we've only got a minute left, so I think that we should leave it at that right now. Like I said, that's our crash course introduction to harmony. I'm sure that we'll have some more of these classes in the future, and we can really get into the nitty-gritty and take our time learning harmony. It's very important for musicians to understand what they're learning and what they're listening to. So I hope that we'll be able to continue that together soon. Yeah, these classes have been great. You can always find more resources online to study this if you can. I'm sure we can send those out to you guys in the meantime, between classes, and that you always stay busy learning and studying music, because there's so much more that we haven't even scratched the surface of. But I think these classes have been fun, and I hope that you have enjoyed them.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, thank you everyone for joining. I'll do a quick outro for the class, but while I'm talking, I pulled up a chord speller exercise. You guys can go to tonesavvy.com. And this is chord building exercise. You can pick which notes you want to do representation, major triads. Yeah, and you start the quiz and you spell the chord, and it'll play it for you. So that's a fun exercise to do. But thank you everybody for joining all of these classes. We've had some great attendance in these classes. All these classes will also be on YouTube, part 1 through 7. So if you want to go through them, or if you want to share it with your friends, these are all open to the public. So feel free to share any of these videos with anyone. More announcements about future masterclasses will be on our Facebook and YouTube channel and email blast. And thank you so much to the Chestnut Family Foundation for sponsoring our AMP Online Masterclass series, including this class. It has been an amazing class, and yeah, I hope you guys will join us in the future for future classes. Keep practicing, keep doing music, and see you guys soon. We have another class starting in about 10 minutes, our ear training class, so I encourage you guys to join in on that one. A lot of the stuff we learn in these classes and the How to Read Music class are extremely applicable to the ear training class and vice versa, all important skills. So yeah, I hope you guys join us, and thanks for tuning in.
All right, we'll see you next time.